Thank you for giving us the opportunity to review some of the information that we had available in the WAS and also as part of the IDAC training. If you would like to take a few minutes to view this video so that we can review the information. It's pretty important information about behavior that I think will really help you as you're trying to consult with personnel in your school district. So I want to start off using your PowerPoint note-taking pages that you were given as part of the WAS training days 3 and 4. If you will turn to page 42 and look at the middle slide, let's start off by discussing summary statements. And again, this is review information. Some of you may know this information, some of you may like some additional review. When I look at summary statements, I think of using this statement as a way to convey to teachers my understanding of what they presented to me about a child's behavior. And so the summary statement will have the setting, the stimulus or trigger, a very specific description of the behavior, and then the consequences, or what's called the maintaining consequences. And by maintaining consequences, we simply mean what is causing this student to continue this behavior. So the summary statement that I usually give as feedback to the teacher when they've given me information about the behavior, I usually say something like this. Well, let me see if I've got this. When setting event in the cafeteria and stimulus or trigger happens, there's lots of noise. Student's name, Johnny, does the behavior, puts his hands over his ears and screams loudly so it can be heard across the cafeteria room, and blank occurs. And the maintaining consequences in this situation is going to be what is causing that behavior to continue. I might say something like, because he doesn't know how to filter out the information and other students are asking him to be quiet, which only increases that behavior. So the summary statement is a chance for me to go back to the teacher and say, now, do I have this right? Is this what you're telling me? Okay. Our goal here is to come up with a competing statement. Some people call it competing pathways. Some people call them behavioral pathways. We're talking about the same thing. So the summary statement describes for us what's happening now. The competing statement needs to describe what we want the student to do instead, in which the behavior serves the same function or purpose. So, for example, when in the cafeteria and the noise is loud, Johnny screams loudly so that it can be heard across the room and puts his hands over his ears in order to filter out the information that he's getting. So what do I want him to do instead? Well, what is the function of the behavior? We need to decide that. I'm going to guess that the function of the behavior is to avoid the extraneous auditory input. So what do I want him to do instead? I want him to do something that gives permission for him to avoid that noise, such as asking permission to leave the cafeteria, asking permission to move to a quieter area. Those would serve the same function or purpose as the behavior that's currently happening.